Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia, and I'm coming to you as always from Germany. Today is Saturday, it's the 8th of August 2020, and I'm just so happy that you're joining me once again to talk about some knitting and also partly some crochet today. So as per usual, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I really hope that you will enjoy this podcast. We are due to change our regular scheduling pretty soon because I'm a few weeks away from my due date. But nevertheless, I hope that you will enjoy this podcast. And of course, if you are coming back, thank you so much for being a regular viewer of the podcast. So let's just jump right in, and I will start with some finished objects, followed by some works in progress. I do want to keep this short today. I've been meaning to record for a couple of days, but I've just been crazy tired. It is very, very hot. So I just thought I'd record a little something, a little update, and then I will probably go outside again and put my feet in the pool. We have like a little tiny baby pool, which is perfect because it is crazy hot here in Germany right now and I am not enjoying it. Anyways, let's talk about some knitting because like woolly things are exactly what we need in 30 plus degree weather, isn't it? So I have some finished objects. First up, I finished these socks for Kai, who is my husband. These socks are plain vanilla socks, cuff down, that I knit following the yarn, which is Regia Perfect. So it's the sort of self-patterning yarn. It's Perfect Partner Look. And the colorway number is 7130. So essentially, if you just follow the instructions of the yarn, it will turn into this sort of patterning sock, which I quite like. They look kind of big on the blockers because I knit these for Kai's feet, and Kai's feet are slightly bigger than my blockers are. So I did 68 stitches on a 2.25 millimeter needle. And yeah, I quite like how they turned out. Kai is very excited about these. I kind of started knitting them and said to him, like, if you like them, you can have them, and if you don't, I will just give them to my father-in-law. But he decided he does like them, so I'm very happy for him to have another pair of socks because sooner or later it will cool down, and Kai loves himself some hand-knit socks, so that is really, really nice. So that is the first thing that I finished this week, and then I finished another project just because I needed to have it done. And that is this crochet blanket that I think I started in the beginning of 2017, so over 3 years ago. And I've been kind of toying with the idea of finishing this. I wasn't sure how long or how big I wanted to make it. And in the end, it was just kind of bugging me to have this blanket that it wasn't quite done and it could be done. So I decided to add a couple of further stripes and then just call it done for now. And I mean, I can always add on to this later because it is just such a basic sock yarn scrap crochet blanket. So if I ever want this to be a bigger blanket than it is right now, I can always make it bigger at some point in the future. So this is done. I'm not going to open up the entire thing because it is quite big already. But when I picked it back up a couple of weeks ago before I moved, I was down here, so I've added maybe, I think with blocking this will grow, so maybe 8 inches. And now this blanket is done, it is ready. I do want to wash and block it, not necessarily because it needs to be blocked, but I think it'll grow a little bit and possibly even out. And yeah, so this was following the Granny Stripes blanket pattern by Attic 24, which actually can be found outside of Ravelry if you're interested. I think you just need to Google Attic 24, and it is a very basic sort of crochet blanket. Please don't ask me how many stitches I cast on. I have no idea. I started this 3.5 years ago, but it is done, and I quite like it. It's very colorful. I finished this and kind of folded it up as you do with a blanket, and Kai basically just fell in love with it and already took a nap on it. So it is definitely, I don't know, these blankets are just very well loved wherever we are. So I'm happy to have this done and just one thing less to worry about. By the way, if you're noticing that I am once again out of breath, I mean, that just comes with being quite pregnant. So I am sorry, but there is literally absolutely nothing I can do about that. So unfortunately, we'll just have to deal with it. Anyways, so I have been working on 4 projects. I've had a couple of days where I haven't been knitting very much because I've just been kind of hanging out and napping and doing all sorts of things. But I think I have made quite a bit of progress on most of my whips, 3 of which you've seen before. So one whip that I kind of had to force myself to pick up again are these 2 at a time socks. These are the Aramis socks, at least I think that is how you pronounce it. It is a free pattern. I think it is only available on Ravelry. But who knows, maybe that'll change at some point. It's just like a textured sort of rib pattern. And I am doing these 2 at a time. And somehow this pattern was just slowing me down. It is very easy, it is very memorizable, but somehow, I don't know, I like to knit my socks when I'm with company here, especially because we are here with my family. And the entire time I always had to keep counting, and maybe just like the pairing of the yarn and the pattern and choosing to do these 2 at a time, I wasn't really making any progress. So I decided to finish the leg in pattern. Then I did my heels, which are fish lips kiss heels. And now I'm doing the entire foot or the feet of these socks in stockinette. So yes, it does take away a little bit of the patterning, but I decided I'd rather get these socks done than have them sitting on my needles forever and ever because somehow the pattern wasn't really working for me. So again, it's a very, very subjective thing. The pattern itself is perfectly fine. It just kind of didn't work with where I am right now in terms of my knitting. So as soon as I turned the heels and started knitting stockinette, I've been picking these up a lot more. I've been making progress. I'm almost halfway down the foot, I would say. So yeah, these are coming along nicely. And these are using recycled yarn. So this yarn used to be in a shawl many years ago, and I test knit a shawl for Mina of the Knitting Expat. And recently I just, before moving, went through all of my shawls, and some of them I wasn't wearing a whole lot, but the yarn was quite special to me, so I ripped those out. And this is one of those yarns. So this is actually a yarn by Woolenvine, which I won in a giveaway. This is Angry Orchard in her Footsie base, I believe, which is a BFL nylon. So I basically just caked it up straight from the shawl, which is why this yarn is super crinkly, sort of the same as you would have if you were knitting from a sock blank. But yeah, I'm just knitting with it, and the socks will even out a little bit after washing for sure. And I'm just happy to be using up this yarn. So that is what I'm doing with my Aramis socks. And of course, I also had to cast on some more vanilla socks because I'm kind of, I don't want to say I'm on a huge sock kick, but I am definitely enjoying knitting socks right now. And the other day, like 4 weeks ago or something, I was having a tough day and I decided to order some commercial sock yarn because back then I didn't have the setup to wind any of my yarn. I have actually since received a replacement umbrella Swift, which is what I was missing here because with the whole moving and putting things into storage, my Swift ended up in storage in a place where I can't get to. So I have actually since ordered a new Swift, a really cheap one, I will admit. And I did wind up some yarn last week, but I have found out that I just don't have the space to have like a permanent setup for winding yarn. So I wound quite a few skeins last week. But I also, like I said, I wanted to have some more commercial sock yarn. So I have yarn that I can just pick up and knit, especially when baby is here. And I don't need to like set up things and do any winding and anything that takes away time from knitting. So anyways, I ordered some commercial sock yarn from this company, which is a German company, I believe, made in Italy. This is Gründel. And I think all of the yarn that I ordered from them was in their Modena range, which is just like a really cool, colorful self-patterning series of theirs. So again, I'm not sponsored, I just wanted to try this yarn. And you can see here how this one is supposed to stripe up. So I really like it. This is color number 5. And yeah, I think this is my second time knitting with the yarn. And the first time I knit with, I don't know, it was a different series of theirs. It came in 50-gram balls and I didn't find it very soft. But this yarn I actually quite like. I mean, it is still definitely a commercial sock yarn. It is, I would compare it to like Regia or Opal, but I quite like it. So I have cast on another sock. And this is where we are. So I did a 1x1 rib and now I am knitting a 3x1 ribbed sock. In hindsight, I'm not sure if I should have just done a plain vanilla. I don't know why, I don't know. I mean, I like these, but I think I might have liked these more as a plain stockinette sock. But I've knit so much now and I've turned the heel, so I think I'm just going to keep going with these, and these will probably end up in the gift pile. I know one of my sisters quite likes these, so maybe she will get those, or I would like to have some, ready to gift socks for Christmas, because again, once our baby arrives, I am guessing I won't have much time to do anything, leave alone knitting Christmas gifts. So yeah, that's where we are with that. I think the colorway is quite fun. And yeah, I'm just doing, like I said, 3x1 ribbing, fish lips kiss heel over 64 stitches. So those are the 2 sock projects that I'm working on, and then I also have 2 sweater projects, all of which you've seen before, but I'll just show them very quickly. So first up, I am still knitting my sister's pavement sweater, which is like I think the 5th or 6th pavement sweater that I'm knitting. This is a pattern by Vera Valimaki, and this is the 3rd rendition out of this yarn, because like I mentioned last week, my sister really loved this sweater, but she felted it in the washing machine. I'm not sure how she did it because it is a superwash yarn, but I decided to knit her another one because she is really quite knit-worthy. So this is the pavement sweater, and as you can tell, I hope, it is a top-down sweater, so it has short rows in the back, and I have finished the raglan increases, and now I'm just working on the body. So I am pretty much 4 inches into the body, and I'm just knitting stockinette in the round, which is a theme this week. So nothing super special to report about this, but I am making some progress. And the yarn is once again the yarn that doesn't have the name on the label. This is by Hansa Farm. That used to be Fair Alpaca and may be called Fair Wool in the UK. I have no idea. This is the Merino Sport, and the colorway is 259. And this is just like a basic sort of superwash merino. It's quite nice. It's relatively affordable. It is certified organic, which I really appreciate. And like I said, I knit both of my sisters a sweater out of the exact yarn, and they really liked it. They really liked the yarn and how it wore. So I just decided to do the same thing once more, and that is where we are. Lastly, in a very similar theme, another body island is my Richter sweater. So this is a sweater that I am knitting for myself, and once again I am dropping all the stitches, which I will fix later. But this is a pattern called Richter sweater by Julia Wilkins, who was a featured designer of, I think, Stephen and Penelope. So that's how I found out about her anyways. And this is a colorwork sweater, as you can tell. And last time I showed this to you, I was still working on the yoke. I think I was somewhere either in this colorwork section or the one below. And ever since doing that, I have finished all of the colorwork. I have again split for the sleeves, and I am again almost 4 inches, maybe 3 inches into the body. So a very, very similar theme here. It looks like the neckline is rolling a lot, but that should block out, and if it doesn't, I can always add some kind of ribbing, but it isn't supposed to have any ribbing. It has like a neat little cast on, which I'm not going to give away because it is a paid for pattern. And then it is supposed to just be like a one color, contrast color work pattern. That was really complicated. You're supposed to only use two colors essentially, and what I decided to do is use a main color and then a gradient set of Holz garn that I had with me. So I've kind of adapted the pattern a little bit, and because my gauge is just miles off, especially my row gauge, I actually also, I think with the last chart I only did half of it, and I took out a couple of rows to get it to a measurement that somehow works, and I think it should. I think we're all good sort of measurement and fit wise. So yeah, I really quite like it. I mean, I know that by using a gradient yarn or gradient little mini cakes of yarn, the color work down here isn't as visible as it is up here. But I don't necessarily think that is a bad thing. I think it is just part of this design or my modification, and I really like it. So again, now I just need to knit a million stitches in stockinette in the round, and then I will probably be stuck on Sleeve Island for 2 sweaters at the same time as well. But I'm quite enjoying this. This is going a little bit slower because the yarn is finer and the gauge is smaller. But yeah, I quite like it. And the yarn that I'm using once again is Holz garn Super Soft, which is a very affordable yarn from Denmark, which is great for color work. It's very thin and it has like a lot of spinning oil in it, but once you wash this, it will just kind of soften up and blend together and become less holey, and I think it'll be really nice. I know it'll be nice because I have quite a few sweaters out of this yarn and I always really enjoy them. So that is the Richter sweater, and that is all that I have been knitting. So I think, you guys, this is pretty much it for the podcast. So this was a very, very short one, but like I said, I just wanted to check in. In terms of life in general, there really isn't that much to write home about. I mean, obviously, we are waiting for baby to arrive. We'll see how much more time he wants to stay and cook. I'm still doing relatively well health-wise. I mean, I guess some little bits come with just being pregnant, but all in all, I think I'm quite lucky and feeling quite well. I am, of course, not a big fan of the heat that we are having right now, especially because we don't have air conditioning in Germany. But I mean, it is what it is. We're doing pretty well. Things are going well with both my husband, my family, everything. So there's really nothing to complain about. Also, we are pretty much ready with everything now. So I've been doing all the nesting, and now I can basically just hang out and relax and try not to move too much until he shows up. So it is quite nice and also quite a weird feeling, but yeah, all is well. So I think this is it for me for today. Nothing too exciting to write home about, but such is life. I hope all of you are staying well and staying healthy, and if you're also in a very hot climate, I hope you have some ways to keep cool and possibly even enjoy some knitting. Who knows? Maybe I'm not the only one. Surely I'm not the only one who is still knitting in this weather. I am going to dip my feet into cold water now, and maybe, hopefully, I will talk to you again next week. Until I see you again, thank you so much for watching. Happy knitting, happy crafting. Bye!